I'm hearing some incredibly good things about the Fallout TV series, okay? The fact that there were so many red flags in its development, lackluster trailers, it's like, it kind of looks like it, has a bunch of shiny production elements, but it's all going to be carried by the quality of its script, and I'm actually pretty thankful to be reporting that a lot of people are enjoying it. A lot of good reviews out there, and it just kind of goes to show you that you can have red flags with a series, but until something comes out, it reserves the right to disappoint you, and it doesn't look like Fallout is doing that. So Fallout TV series earns heaps of praise from fans just days after its debut on Prime Video, with some demanding season 2 immediately. Yet did this weird thing, right? Because it had an announced release date, and then it ended up dropping 2 days early, and it was the entire series that dropped. So man, that kind of harkens back to another conversation that you could be having about how to make a show culturally relevant, how to give a production its due. Like, yeah, it's nice that you can be able to tell a full story throughout an entire season. I think it was, 8 episodes? We'll obviously get into the details here very shortly. But yeah, you get the full story, but after you're done with it, sure, you might go back and watch it, but if it was something that had a staggered release, if you dropped one episode like old traditional models, you would have something to look forward to. You would have something to discuss. You would have that old water cooler talk with the show, but because it's all out there, because people can go and review it all in totality, how do you continue to generate hype? It's different than what you can do with a movie, because a movie, you get your complete story told within the hour. Now that films are, anywhere between an hour and a half to 3 hours long, you get the one story. But that's the way the movies are designed. Television, by its nature, is serialized, especially with these more premier shows. You're getting 8 hours. You're getting 8 hours just simply dropped on you, where you can go ahead and watch it all in a day or two. After you've watched it, there's no next week to look out for another episode. There's no more conversations to be had. Maybe after, the week that's there. Hey, did you check that out? Okay, yeah, no, next weekend you go watch that and we'll talk about it after that, and I'll come back and I'll get refreshed on it and we can have a big conversation about it. But if it was going to be weekly release model, then you'd be able to, theory craft with your friends or your family members, whoever you're watching the show with, in anticipation, and then just continue to get re-upped with more anticipation for the next episode. You just don't get that this time around, and it sounds like for something that people enjoy and people like, that's just not something that you're going to be getting with Fallout. But it's nice to see that you have such a long beaten down franchise with the past few releases, at least in a video game sense, not being well received and from a studio that is already beleaguered to begin with. It's just nice to see. There is some life over there in those Bethesda hills. Video game fans around the world rejoiced this weekend with a debut of Amazon Prime's Prime Video, TV series Fallout, which is earning heaps of praise. Yeah, I've made mention of him before, but I think the Critical Drinker is the best short form reviewer, and he seemed to like the Fallout TV show. I think the byline of his review was, "It's a blast," and I'm glad. I'm glad that people are enjoying it. Fallout's not really my franchise. I don't like Bethesda games. I'm glad people are enjoying it. Okay. Show's already been a hit with critics, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Does not really mean all that much. One fan, they're just cherry picking random Twitter users. 10 on 10, best video game adaptation I ever saw. The fan added the series is the Jedi Survivor of TV shows. I don't know what that means, referring to the popular Star Wars video game. Yeah, but wasn't Jedi Survivor the one that was really bad and poorly received when it was busted upon release? But yeah, when we went over the trailer to begin with, mostly because I was completely and totally underwhelmed outside of some of the elements where it's like, yeah, it looks good. And, there's tells that this is just going to be a girl boss in the post-apocalypse. Yes, that's not the case. I'm glad. I'm super glad for that, because I'm so desperate that we move from these people. The boy who cried woke, because we're seeing a lot of that from people, especially in some of the counterculture reviewer space. I'm just really hoping that we can move past that era of entertainment and that we can actually have, realized characters, instead of just immediately getting that visceral reaction and then just dismissing a project off rip. Really hope that that's not the case anymore. So the series is set in a post-apocalyptic Los Angeles within the world of the Fallout video game series, which will be a part of the canon. Canon of the game. So they're going to try to work this into whenever they're going to do Fallout 5, I guess. It would be 5? Yeah, I guess it would be. The story takes place 200 years after the apocalypse, when the gentle denizens of luxury Fallout shelter are forced to return to the irradiated hellscape their ancestors left behind, shocked to discover an incredibly complex, gleefully weird, and highly violent universe waiting for them. Yes, of course, that's not exactly too dissimilar to the plot of the games that are out there. It's just, Fallout 3 mostly traversed the Northeast. I'm pretty sure that 4 was centered around Boston specifically. New Vegas, I think it kind of alludes to where that one was set. And 76 was set in Purgatory. This does speak, because I remember, we watched and took a look at some of the stills from the trailer, because Amazon does in fact like to strike down videos, even if it is of their promotional material. It's like, yeah, the set designs look good. The power armor looks like power armor from the games. It's 2024, you got a female protagonist up front and center, and it's like, okay, is she going to be running the show? Doesn't appear to be. There was also another show that's going to be coming out very shortly with the season 2 that also had a bunch of huge markers of, girl bossisms over the top of it from the people who were making this show. Some of the holdovers from the previous regime. It's just kind of making you a little bit disgusted until you've seen the product, and it's like, okay, this is actually tremendous television. But House of the Dragon Season 2 coming out in mid-June. June 16th. House of the Dragon Season 2 now officially has a release date after Game of Thrones ended in 2019, mercifully. The world of the HBO's fantasy franchise based on the works of George R.R. Martin expanded the release, House of the Dragon, in summer of 22. I can't recommend Season 1 highly enough outside of episode... one episode. I don't want to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, because I do in fact highly recommend it. There's a couple of episodes that I'm not fond of. One of them is explicitly bad, but overall, the season itself... It's as good. It sits along the pantheon. If you like Game of Thrones to begin with, it's as good as the first 2 seasons, which is high praise in and of itself. But now Max confirms House of the Dragon Season 2 release date is set for June 16th. Season 1 premiered August 21st, 2022, meaning Season 2's arrival is just before the show's official 2-year anniversary. Thank God. And the way that they're doing this is because, HBO's kind of smart, and they kind of originated the whole premiere television model. Is they're releasing this stuff every single week, and unfortunately there's only going to be 8 episodes, which is it's good on one hand because there's going to be a quicker turnaround, meaning that we're not going to have to wait another 2 years to conclude this story that might end up going 3-4 seasons, which is great. Fantastic news that it's only going to be a year to 16 months between seasons. But there's a reason that I draw analogy between the Fallout series and House of the Dragon, because, the Fallout series, there's a lot of baggage there. A couple of really bad releases, Fallout 4, which was kind of well received off rip, but then, public sentiment around it started to sour not that long after. And then, of course, the disaster that was Fallout 76, and now with Starfield and Bethesda being exposed as kind of, not really advancing their gameplay since about, Oblivion. There was a lot of baggage there. And then for the show to come out and to be as successful and well regarded as it is, you could have done even better for yourself if you would have had a weekly release behind it. It's not like Amazon can't do it. They already tried and, spectacularly failed with Amazon's, The Rings of Power. I don't even want to associate it with its supposed source material. But compare it to House of the Dragon, they had a lot of good faith to try to win back. After the disaster that was everything post, I would say, episode 10, season 4 of Game of Thrones, and the fact that it fell so far out of public relevance, it was so crazy. After 2019, after the conclusion of season 8, the cultural phenomenon that was Game of Thrones, I wasn't even watching it, I didn't watch through the series until November. I think it was November of 2022. But I heard about it. I knew about it because everybody was watching it. And then the fact that nobody was discussing it after the conclusion of season 8 in May of 2019, it's spectacular how the show has reinvigorated interest. The fact that viewership numbers continue to go up and up and up and up throughout the entire season, and now hype for this has been generated And there's actually people looking forward the continuation of this story after the train wreck that was season 8 of Game of Thrones. I don't think that would have been possible if they would have just released all 10 episodes of season 1 on Max. It just wouldn't have been possible. People would have looked at it and went, it's fine, and then just would have immediately forgot about it had they not had that 10 weeks in order to drum up interest. So yeah, so as much as Hollywood, as much as the movie-making side of the entertainment industry is collapsing in and of itself, there's a bit of hope. There are a couple of glimmers of hope over there on the television side of things, and I'm glad for as many big-budget disasters as we've had so far at the cinema in 2024. There's a couple of sleeper and surprise hits that are out there. For fans of franchises out there, and well, I'm still holding out hope because June's quickly approaching, but it's still far out, and I just hope that season 2 is as good, and it does have the potential of being even better than season 1, but let's not count our chickens before they hatch, or in this case, dragons before they hatch. Get it? Because it's about the dragons and the Targaryens, and I'm looking forward to it. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.